From the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the final segment of today's Sports Fall. Jersey Joe here alongside Big Shot Rob as always. And it is not just opening night of the NBA. It is also the World Series. A little bit of a big deal. Just a little. Rob, Royals, Mets, you've been pretty spot on with all of your predictions so far. So, you know what? I want to give the people the good stuff right now. Give me your pick to win it all right here, right now.
The New York Mets show winning the World Series in 6 games.
6 games, okay. I'm going with the Mets, too. I think, look, in baseball, momentum more than anything wins the day. And if anything right now that the New York Mets have, it's momentum. And there's no player who has more momentum right now than Daniel Murphy. Obviously, I have to ask you, I mean, is it even humanly possible for him to not have cooled off a little bit from the last series with the couple days they've had off?
Yeah, this whole weekend off, Joe, might have just killed everything. Hopefully he could get back to his hot streak. We look at what he's done this postseason. 7 home runs and 11 RBIs. 6 home runs in his last 6 games. The guy has been phenomenal. That's a record that's never been broken until now. And, I mean, Daniel Murphy, we just can only hope that he comes back hot in Kansas City. I mean, here's the good thing. We're not playing at Citi Field right now. We're in Kansas City, so we're playing in hot weather. So that's usually good for your batters. That's going to be the great thing. You're not freezing cold up there at the plate holding on for dear life. But I think, Matt, Murphy, I think he's slowly going to get back into the series.
Now, here's one of the interesting things about this. I think right now, the selling point the Mets have is not only do they have all this momentum on their side, but their arms are they have so many of them that they can rely on, and they've been phenomenal so far. The Royals are a very opportunistic lineup. They've got a lot of speed. Is this Royals offense good enough to beat the Mets pitching? Because, I mean, let's be honest, the Mets pitching has not faltered in this postseason.
They are not good enough to beat the Mets pitching, and here's my reason why, Joe. We look at the Mets. What makes their pitching rotation so special? Yes, you know what? A lot of them could hit the 95 to 98 miles per hour. But here's the thing, what they developed in the playoffs, the off-speed pitch. Matt Harvey, the strong use of the changeup. What's Kansas City's biggest thing? They hit fast pitching.
Yeah.
So the only pitcher that might struggle versus Kansas City is Noah Syndergaard, because all Syndergaard is speed every time. But you have Steven Matz, who throws every pitch out there in the game. Harvey throws off speed. DeGrom can throw off speed. So I really don't see this offense getting hot versus the New York Mets. The New York Mets, if they want to beat the Kansas City Royals, what they're going to have to do is score runs early in the game, because you don't want to take on that bullpen of Kansas City of Herrera, Holland, and Davis, because they will shut you down from inning 6 or 9.
Very, very good point. And that's where I think the biggest thing in this comes down to it is the Mets pitching, the Mets starting pitching clearly is the dominant force in this series. I don't know if the Royals lineup is good enough. I really don't think that they are. I mean, again, I like that they're an opportunistic lineup, but when you try to match them up with the way that the Mets pitching staff likes to go about things, it's just not a good matchup for them. Where the Royals would be in good shape, though, I think, is that bullpen have a lot of faith in. And we saw last season how dominant that Giants bullpen was. And when you have a bullpen like that, look, people just don't put enough emphasis. There's a reason the Detroit Tigers have not made the deep runs in these playoffs the last couple of seasons. Their bullpen has killed them. The Dodgers, huge problem that has been the bullpen the last couple of seasons. You've got to invest in that bullpen. And the Royals, there's a reason now they've been in the World Series these last 2 seasons. That bullpen is rock solid. As we move into tonight's game, though, again, we get Harvey on the mound. The Dark Knight, as a lot of the Mets fans like to call him. Do the Mets get the win tonight?
Oh, they're getting the win. They most definitely are. They are beating Kansas City. They're going to hit Velasquez. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a decent pitcher, and he's going to go his 5 innings tonight. I think the Mets are going to jump off right at the top. Curtis Granderson's going to get things started. What a tremendous postseason he's had. We look at a couple years ago with the Yankees and how everybody said, oh, he's done. He can only hit the long ball. When it comes up to the big games, he really can't do much work. Curtis Granderson now is putting in the work. But I think now, in this game tonight, David Wright's going to have to come out and make a statement. David Wright, we look at the NLCS, slowly coming into becoming a hitter again, becoming where he should be. And I think now the ball's really going to take off with him.
You heard it from Rob himself. Now, little fun game before we end this segment, Rob. Better chance. I'm going to give you a better chance. Who is a better chance? The Mets of winning this World Series or the Cavaliers of winning the NBA championship this season? Or I'll give you a third option. Are they both equal?
Oh, the Mets. The New York Mets winning the World Series.
Yeah, it is, Rob.
See, I had to choose against your Cavaliers.
Yeah, well, you picked the Bulls to potentially beat them. I'm not forgetting about that, Rob.
They're going to beat them, Joe.
No. For people who missed the second segment and missed last year, Rob over here thinks it's a good idea to bet against the Cavs after learning and losing a bet, which he owes me Dairy Queen for, that the Bulls would beat the Cavs. Think about this, Rob. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. By definition, you are doing the insane thing because you did something, the result happened, and you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
I have the mindset of Skip Bayless. I will choose against. Me and you are like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless, and I will choose the opposing side.
Let's not put that negative on us. We're much better than that.
But
man.
I will stick with my Chicago Bulls. They will beat the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well,
Joe, at least I'm not picking the Knicks. Come on.
No, of course not. Hey, Joe, still one of my favorite promos of all time is I forced you to say that too. I was like, no, Joe, I think the Knicks are going to win the championship. Let me stop you right there, Rob. The Miami Heat will win the championship this year. Rob was forced to say that, so I don't want people to think that Rob was just a Knicks homer. He was forced
We
to.
probably could have beat the Heat. I'm not going to say anything. We just had a tough run versus Indiana. We probably would have beat your Heat, though.
Wait, is that the series when Amari Stoudemire punched the fire extinguisher glass?
No, that was the year before.
That was the year before. Know what the funny thing is? He is now playing for the team that he punched the fire extinguisher glass and almost broke his hand forever for. It's funny how things work out in life.
I wonder if in the stadium, like, they have that for him. Like, they're like, oh, here's an artifact for you. Amari Stoudemire punched
Do you think
this.
they had to change the layout of the building and, like, put up, like, special things for Amari? Like, Amari, just to remember, don't punch those things.
No, they have cameras on him. They probably have cameras watching him deeply.
I read, it was literally, if the glass cut, like, a millimeter closer to one of his veins, he would have never been able to use that hand again. That's how close he was to never having mobility in that hand again.
Wow.
Look.
Shows you, ladies and gentlemen, to not harm yourself. We look at some crazy things athletes do.
If anybody can take anything away from today's show, Rob, I want it to be don't punch fire extinguisher glass cases. It's not a good idea, folks.
You can't do it unless you're Bo Jackson. Jackson breaks bats over his head, over his leg. Nobody else can do that. So only Bo Jackson could probably punch a fire extinguisher and be really okay after hitting it.
If you're listening to the show and you're not named Bo Jackson, you are not allowed to punch a fire extinguisher glass.
Because Bo knows best.
Bo knows best. And if Bo wants to break it, Bo will break it. But I'm glad, we don't just give you sports here. We try to give you life advice, things to help you go about your day a little bit better, and I think everybody's better for this. Rob has Mets winning the World Series. I have Mets winning the World Series. I have Cavs winning the NBA championship. Rob has Cavs doing a lot of good things, but not winning the NBA championship. But don't worry, we'll be back and visit that again. I'm sure Rob will have to own up to that one. But for today's episode of the Sports Fall, Big Shot Rob, Jersey Joe Archino, we'll be back here same time, same place next week.